I had a theory that after I had refused to engage in sexual activity in a completely race based scenario in Houston involving police officers, including a police officer that identified himself as the current chief of police, and I was later informed was actually the former chief of police, that there was some manner in which women of a specific demographic that had a specific human capital inventory were very, very instrumental in the specific kind of pension scheme they had with the Houston police officers' pension system. H pops. Like she needs a sugar daddy. And if she takes the sugar daddy she's offered, she might have a good time. But if she doesn't, well, the truth of the matter is she's expendable anyway. My allegation is that they had an annual ritual where they found one or maybe a couple middle aged white women with specific kinds of past work history and family history. And they tried to get her on drugs and they tried to make sure she was homeless. And after she was in the shelter, she'd be on the street and something would happen and they'd steal her purse or they'd steal, her attache case. And so she'd have to get another ID. And she'd go to the city and the city would get her an ID and they would bond her after they branded her as some kind of toxic wave off. In my case, it was uranium. They offered, I was told I could get the ID in February, right? Actually, January. I believe it was probably before the new protective action guidelines came out from the Environmental Protection Agency. But they, for whatever reason, I wasn't eligible until I had been illegally detained for 10 days, 3 days in a public mental health facility, and 7 days in a private mental health facility. And then I reapplied, and they made sure to have it ready the day of the second quarter stock report for a uranium company. That was actually part of the investigation that I was doing before I was detained, right? And, my attache case got stolen, all my research got stolen, all of the documents I had from before, including when I was out of state, got stolen. Now I'm seeing them show up. They sat on them for a while. And now they're starting to show up. They've been showing up heavy this year. After the state of Texas passed laws saying that certain kinds of information that used to be public information is now confidential. And now the stuff that was in that bag and that attache case and that suitcase starting to show up, right? And what's also showing up is confirmation that that uranium stock that I was branded to wasn't a one time deal. See, the next year, a couple months after they branded me and I was being bounced around on the street, let me tell you, you don't want to be subjected to that, right? Another middle aged white woman with a very unique personal life history went through something similar, but complementary. See, her human capital only made sense in the pension scheme if you knew about mine the year before. And they made sure to have me out of town before the 60-day turnover on the dates on her branded documentation came about. And then the next thing you know, within the time for a major muni bond, I'm in another city with a different racket that has a different set of metric valuations for middle aged white women. And the thing is, what makes us so unique, as I understood, even in Houston, we were the Russian nukes, that we are nuclear assets. And you don't need a whole lot of us. We have a specific kind of nuclear capability. It's that thing that when you're on the phone and you push the phone or you say something and the current changes, that white bitch goes off. She starts yelling and screaming, and everybody thinks it's funny, right? Because they're on a different current. They're on a current that's supposed to be complementary, or they're on a current where what they're registering is different. She's the one that's been nuked. Now, I've known since the beginning of 2017 that there are articles of mine online, and I stand behind the articles, even if you think they're controversial. But in the back end coding of those articles is all kinds of nasty shit. I've got the dirtiest back end on the internet. It's not me. Different publications seem to have a different repertoire. And the problem is, I never knew stupid people. All the people I used to know and hang out with were geniuses. And I just can't believe that they didn't know that the back end on their websites with my articles have the references they do. I've been tracking it in other ways. I've been tracking my email. I've been tracking how there was litigation going on, including litigation involving weapons makers that had certain kinds of metaphors or certain kinds of symbolic references that were the diversions that were back encoded into my emails. So I was being electronically tortured with these things for years. So when you say that you want to know about the Homeland Security's Countering Violent Extremism program, and you won't talk to me about what you did with my pension fund, what you did with all of my articles I used to write, what you're doing right now with that website that has my articles on it, why you won't get back to me about who contacted you about my articles, it's kind of like, it's only so long you can nuke a white bitch before she starts figuring it out. If you guys invested in this transformation and thought that you guys were going to get in good with the Bureau of Land Management while I was supposed to be disappeared or offed or liquidated, the truth of the matter is I don't have any more proof to the contrary than I do that it's as high as you want me to direct my energy. Right? I don't. I don't have any more or less proof that all the people I used to know in person didn't agree to make a big time fucking deal based on just sending me out to pasture. And because I didn't accept the stud that was offered. Right? So, I mean, we are where we are. And the thing is that it's a real thing. It's a real thing. It can actually code these electronic accounts in order to send a burst of energy. They've had plenty of time where they've been monitoring people's neural pathways. It's what telemedication's about. That's how it works. They send radio frequency to alter your hormones and to alter your neurochemistry in order to try to behaviorally condition you. What did you guys expect? Leaving me in isolation for 5 years while apparently you pretended like I was no longer an American citizen and was from some country that's banned. What did you expect that you were going to get? And I don't know what to do because I'm talking to you through another medium. And I know a whole bunch of people are supposed to be in their houses and dealing with remote. I mean, you left me on the streets for 3 years. That wasn't a problem, right? No, guys, it wasn't a debt. It was a capital outlay. And you defrauded everybody. Even if you thought you were doing it for some revolutionary socialist paradigm, you sabotaged everything you set up.